What fell down didn't came up. The survivorship bias is a logic fallacy that describes the tendency to focus on the outcome of the selection process and ignoring the data that didn't pass it. Here's a real-life example and, so to say, the origin of the survivorship bias. I won't bother too much with the historical background, so I present the short version. During World War II, the US military worked on a project to minimize the losses of their bombing aircrafts. The idea was to protect the planes with additional armor from enemy fire. The goal was to improve protection without overburdening the plane. So the military examined the planes that returned and recorded the parts that had taken the most damage. The logical thing to do, so they thought, was to apply armor to those exact parts. And here is where the mathematician Abraham Wald takes action. He said they should apply the armor to the least damaged parts. Why protect heavy damaged parts that obviously didn't compromise the plane's ability to fly? The parts without any bullet holes are the important ones, because if we don't see any planes damaged at those spots, it means that they never made it back. What fell down didn't came up. How would the protection of a soldier look like if designed after this logic? Probably something like this. This is the survivorship bias. We tend to pay attention to what we see, to what survived. The fallen are out of sight and out of mind. This bias might be most prominent when it comes to success stories of beloved entrepreneurs, actors, musicians, or internet personalities. But like the author Rolf Dobelli wrote, behind every successful author hide 100 whose books didn't sell. We hear but from the successful and misjudge how unlikely authorial success is. The cemetery of failure. Nassim Taleb writes in his book The Black Swan, the cemetery of failed restaurants is very silent. He explains on the example of successful restaurants that we shouldn't try to do what the best are doing. Instead of talking about restaurants, let's choose an example that might be a little more popular nowadays. Being a YouTuber or a streamer on Twitch. For example, let's plays or streams of video games. While making this video, the most popular game at the moment on Twitch is Fortnite. On a Monday around 2200 there are 265,000 viewers. And the top 4 most watched streams make together 167,000 viewers. That is over the half of the entire audience. 4 streams! I checked throughout several weeks and it's always a similar picture. And I also was interested in how many channels are actually streaming this game. So I scrolled through the list and started counting, but after 600 I gave up. This situation can be illustrated by 2 overlapping triangles. On the top there are a few with a lot, and on the bottom there are a lot with a few. I present to you the survivorship bias. People see that this game is popular and that there are streamers who have an insane crowd. Clearly it must be gold to stream this game oneself. Yeah, no. Like Nassim Taleb said, they are the survivors. They thought they were lucky, they won. They figured out how to survive and they established their position. The fact that they are flourishing should not be a motivation to join them. It is rather evidence that one shouldn't. There were many before and with us who had the same idea and failed. We tend to focus on the winners and ignore the ones that lost. Because unlike the survivors, the fallen don't get to tell their story. The dream. Although the demand for streamers for this game is met, there are hundreds of channels doing the exact same thing, imitating the archetypes of personas coined by the successful streamers and hoping to follow their footsteps. Even though the cemetery is visible, we are not looking at it. It is like, if I cannot see it, it is not true. We who dare to dream of a piece of the crowd say, I have the skill, I can do this, I cannot understand why I don't have more followers. But we are not alone. The same thought grows in hundreds of other people's minds. Let's welcome the competition. The requirement. But let's start at the beginning. What is the requirement for being a successful streamer? I'd say to be entertaining. Because that is why the majority of people watch streams. They want to be entertained. There are a lot of ways one can be entertaining. We already took a little peek at different ways to achieve that goal. For example, there are the types who are really good at the game they are playing. That can be fun to watch. Or there are people who are bad at games, but their behavior and reactions can be described as comedy. Or the yelling ones who just want to sow mischief, and so on. Once someone reaches a certain level of entertainment value, one can be considered a viable candidate for success. But like we already said, there are a lot of us. Now the question arises, which one of us is going to make it? We are all practically substitutable by someone. Many times, maybe even most of the times, the answer to why is luck. Skill or luck? Let's take a look at 4 examples of people who made it on YouTube or Twitch. The angry video game nerd. James Rolf didn't plan on becoming an internet phenomenon back in 2004. He made the first videos ranting about bad NES games for his friends. They thought it was funny and suggested he should post them online. Other people might enjoy those too, and they did. Anthony Vincent, 10-second songs. One of Anthony Vincent's projects as a musician was a custom song business, selling 10-second songs performed in any style for $5. As he then uploaded them to YouTube to promote his service, everything exploded in a short amount of time. Soviet Womble and the ZF Clan. Soviet Womble makes YouTube videos with highly edited compilations of funny situations that arise while playing video games with his friends. One day he sets up a Patreon account and his YouTube channel took off. Today he has almost 3 million subscribers and streams almost daily for 1,000 of viewers. Moreover, his friends from the clan gained popularity thanks to Soviet's videos and streams and were able to establish themselves on Twitch as well. Ninja Sex Party. The band starring Danny Sexbang Avedon and Ninja Brian Wecht, which sings songs about dicks and unicorns. They were recognized on YouTube with about 40,000 subs over 4 years. And after Dan Avedon became friends with Aaron Hansen and joined the Let's Play comedy show Game Grumps, the band really started to ride the rainbow to success. Those examples show that not every time the project people got famous with is what they intended to succeed with. Perception and projection. The perceiving side. How we experience the final product. In our case, a famous Let's Play channel, a band or a streamer. We see the established product and assume that this is the key to success. So the obvious thing to do is do exactly the same and expect the same results. We tend to focus on the outcome and ignore the way a person went to get there. We ignore the randomness laid within the journey. And even if we take a look at the whole picture, there's no guarantee that it'll work out for us as well. One story is not a blueprint. Projecting side. The people, their stories, and how they tell them. I think most of us heard famous artists say phrases like, "Everybody can do it. Believe in yourself and work really hard. Follow your dreams." Does this sound inspiring? In my eyes, bullshit. They mean well, but they project a completely distorted image. Of course we have to work hard, of course we have to believe in ourselves, but that is a prerequisite, not the master plan. Why do we have the streaming pyramid? Because the majority isn't trying hard enough? On the other side, there are people like the comedian Bo Burnham. He says, don't do it. He is very fortunate that it worked out for him, but it's not something that everybody can achieve. Not because one is not skilled enough, but because one might not be lucky enough. For him, a person saying follow your dreams is like what Randall Munroe depicts in a comic. A lottery winner advising people to invest all their money into lottery tickets. It worked out for him, so it can work out for us. Recapitulate. The survivorship bias is a pretty simple concept. We tend to focus on the successful and ignore the ones who failed, and yet we are still talking about it. Why is it so difficult for us to see the whole picture? Why is it so common to listen to someone who made it and blend everything else out? Isn't it also worth to know what not to do, to avoid making decisions those were proven wrong by so many fallen? Sadly, a success story is often considered being a blueprint. That it's possible to rebuild success with the same parts over and over again. Therefore, one doesn't need to look at what is a bad decision. One already knows what works. In my opinion, people have trouble dealing with luck, with uncertainty. Even Albert Einstein criticized the randomness in quantum mechanics with the words, "God does not play dice with the universe." That is the reason why working and believing hard plays such an important role for some people, in my opinion. They try to convince themselves that success is solely based on hard work, on their own actions. The outcome is never debatable, even more, it is inevitable. The thought of resigning and accepting that our actions were in vain is scary. Or making it and acknowledging our luck and asking ourselves if we really deserved it.